Have an itch to learn about a new urban legend? Today, we're going to talk about the infamous Teke Teke. This vengeful spirit has been making the rounds in Japan for a long time now. It's believed that the vengeful spirit, or Onryo in Japanese, was spotted post-World War II, and since then has been terrifying the people of Japan. But it only functions at a certain place and has certain rules when killing people. Weird, isn't it? We're going to explore this horrifying urban legend with the help of a 2009 Japanese movie by the same name. But before diving into the movie, a brief history of the legend and how it became popular. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Japanese legend of Teke Teke. Now, each country has its own set of urban legends with a spooky vibe. So, what's so special about Teke Teke, and why do so many people fear it? It's because of its speed and the terrifying appearance of the vengeful spirit. The ghost is rumored to be that of a schoolgirl who jumped on the rail tracks and was cut in half by the oncoming trains. There are also other renditions of the legend, but this one is the most popular theory. After meeting a horrifying end, this vengeful spirit haunts the station during the night and kills anything that comes its way. What stands out is the way this spirit functions. If you want to know that you're being stalked by Teke Teke, then you'll hear something that sounds like Teke Teke. This sound is produced because the spirit has no lower half of the body and relies on its hands and elbows, giving it its iconic name. But beware, because the ghost is extremely fast and agile. She also has scythes maintained on her hands that can swiftly slice people in half, giving them the same death that she had to endure. Your only chance for survival is to outrun her, or be lucky if she asks you a question. In different renditions of the urban legend, it's also believed that the spirit will ask where her legs are, and you must answer with Meishin Expressway. Everyone take notes for your next visit to Japan. You never know, you might encounter the Teke Teke while touring the city in its wide array of train networks. Better be prepared. This legend is extremely interesting, and Japanese horror film director Koji Shiraishi knows that. Therefore, he came up with a 2009 horror thriller by the same name. So let's explore the movie, and with that, the spooky legend of the Teke Teke. The first encounter with Teke Teke. So the movie starts with a scene of a woman possibly coming back from work. She's looking stressed after a long day and is annoyed by the kids in the backseat of the bus who are talking about monsters. We also get to see that she has a red keychain, and its significance will be revealed later. The woman gets off at her spot and starts walking through a secluded overpass. Suddenly, there's no one around her, and a swift breeze of air blows her hair. What follows next is completely terrifying. We can hear a mysterious Teke Teke sound, and it starts to get louder. Confused, the woman looks back and sees something extremely horrifying. She starts to run frantically, and the sound gets even louder as we can see that the spirit is following her. She tries to hide in a secluded spot, but soon, Teke Teke notices her and slices her in two. This scene is enough for viewers to understand this vengeful spirit and sets the tone for the remainder of the movie. Next, we're transported to the life of our main character, Kana. She's a Japanese teenager and is seen conversing with her friend Ayaka about a possible interaction with a boy. Now, these scenes seem boring at first, but all these incidents are important to understand the movie better. Ayaka basically wants to go on a date with Kana's friend, and luckily the friend agrees. But we get a feeling that the guy is more attracted to the protagonist Kana instead of her friend. Not only us, but Ayaka soon understands this when the trio goes out after school. Disappointed with her friend Kana, Ayaka takes a different route home. And guess where she decides to go? The haunted overpass. One thing we've learned from horror movies is that you should never split up, because a vengeful spirit is just around the corner. Ayaka soon feels the same breeze, and can hear the creepy Teke Teke sound. She decides to run, but frantically falls down and becomes prey to the vengeful spirit. The next day in school is extremely devastating for Kana, as she learns about the death of her best friend. What makes it even worse is that she's interrogated by the police while in a state of shock. Kana starts to blame herself for Ayaka's death, and decides to investigate the overpass by visiting her memorial. Although her idea was right, the execution faltered a bit. The reason being, Kana decides to visit the overpass during the night while being completely alone. Unsurprisingly, she comes face to face with the ghost of the lady, but manages to make a quick escape with the help of her friend. Now, the viewers must be relieved that the protagonist managed to evade Teke Teke, but guess what? There's a plot twist. It's also believed that if you have seen Teke Teke and managed to get out alive, then you have 3 days to live, and you're bound to die after that. Seems like there's no way to escape this vengeful spirit, or is there? Unraveling the mystery of Teke Teke. Worried about her life, Kana goes to the library and starts to research the urban legend. She finds her bratty cousin there, who's also researching the mystery behind Teke Teke. Both of them band together and visit a much experienced professor for information. Although the professor's not that helpful, he gives them the location of the ghost family, and the duo starts their investigation. This is where the intensity of the movie picks up rapidly. We learn about the tragic backstory of Teke Teke and how she became a vengeful spirit. Now, her backstory is a bit brutal, so viewer discretion is advised. The tragic incident occurred in 1948 when Reiko, yes, that's her real name, was returning from the fields. Reiko was a beautiful nurse, and that made her a target of American soldiers. While she was returning from work, an American soldier raped and assaulted her. Terrified by PTSD, Reiko committed suicide at the same spot she haunts today. The woman narrating the story in the movie seems quiet, and there was no evidence to support her theory. Also, we can see another old man denying her allegations, saying there were no American soldiers stationed in Japan during 1948. Now, we can argue over the authenticity of the story all day, but Kana and her cousin have no time, and they need to come up with a solution fast. After being completely clueless, they get hope from the professor's assistant, who tells them about a certain memorial. There was a rumor that a memorial was built for Reiko after she died, and her younger sister visited her every day. Since her sister's demise, the memorial broke down, and interestingly, the legend of Teke Teke also started around that time. So they add 2 and 2 together and decide to rebuild the memorial so that the ghost of Teke Teke can be peaceful again. Pursuit and tension. The duo start to drive to the location of the memorial, but the cousin seems very frantic. Kana tries to inquire, and she makes a shocking revelation. Her cousin has also seen Teke Teke and made it out alive, but she's short on time and only has a few hours left before her 3-day mark is up. In a race against time, the duo start to drive toward the memorial, but reach the wrong location. After a tense drive, they finally arrive at the correct spot, but sadly it's nightfall, and Teke Teke is back in action. She rushes to slice Kana and her cousin, but they rebuild the memorial in time, and the vengeful spirit stops in her tracks. It seems that Teke Teke is finally done and has found peace. But guess what? She isn't, and rushes behind Kana because her mobile phone is red in color. Now, this is the most terrifying scene of the movie because we finally see the ghost close up and how it manages to walk on its hands and elbows. Teke Teke is about to slice Kana in half, but she throws her phone away and the vengeful spirit disappears. Kana gives a sigh of relief and breaks down after nearly escaping death. As we approach the happy ending of this tragic tale, Kana reunites with her cousin, who mistakenly brushes her face against a tree branch and starts to bleed. As she tries to recollect what just happened, Teke Teke swiftly slices her in half in front of our protagonist. Sadly, there's no happy ending in this tragic tale, but viewers get the much needed resolution in the sequel of the movie released in the same year. However, its interesting story will be reserved for another video. The cultural impact of Teke Teke. Teke Teke is an old urban legend and has been around in Japanese culture for many years. Many were aware of this vengeful spirit, but its popularity increased tenfold after the movie was released in 2009. This movie also made the world aware of this urban legend, and it wasn't regional anymore. However, the same can't be said about the reception of the movie. The movie received mixed reviews from the critics, and the main cast was also criticized, but the ghost of Teke Teke was massively appreciated. You can still get chills after hearing the creepy sound when the vengeful spirit is just behind you. Now, it's time for the answer everyone is hoping for. Is the ghost of Teke Teke for real, or is it just a fantasy made up to scare children? Let's find out. The ghost of Teke Teke, reality or myth? Short answer, there's no significant evidence to back up the theory that a vengeful spirit like Teke Teke exists in Japan today. But that won't stop me from looking over my back for a creepy sound during my next visit to Japan. The main reason this story is a myth is because there are so many renditions of the same ghost. Some say it's the ghost of a schoolgirl, while others believe it's someone who committed suicide. But the most absurd story is of Kashima Reiko. Yes, the same person in the movie, but the story's completely different here. It's believed that Reiko haunts people in the bathroom and creepily asks them where her legs are. To stay alive, you must answer the right question, including the meaning behind her name. I guess it's time we start learning Japanese so that our legs stay attached to our bodies. There's also one strong reason why there are so many urban legends in Japan, including Teke Teke. It's believed that this tale was just created to curb the problem of bullying. Bullying is still prevalent around the world, including the country of Japan. The legend of Teke Teke is a stern caution for everyone who believes in bullying. It makes us realize that all our actions have consequences, and one small mistake can slice us in 2 parts in no time. Marvelous verdict. So in conclusion, every urban legend should be taken with a grain of salt, and every movie should be evaluated practically before you take the drastic steps of avoiding stations and overpasses altogether. The movie Teke Teke did a great job of introducing us to this urban legend, and gave us an insight into the terrifying monsters situated in the country of Japan. With different urban legends like the Akamanto, Red Cloak, or the Kuchisake Onna, Slit-Mouthed Woman, it seems that Japan is the place to go if you have an itch to become Ghostbusters. However, if you want to learn about these urban legends in the comfort of your own home, then drop us a like so we can make more marvelous videos on the different creepy stories in Japan. Until then, explore a wide category of videos on our channel. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!